I see you again, when I see you again.
I think we have P9. Very good race, Jules. Finally, 11 points.
When I see you again.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this Jules Bianchi Tribute Career Mode, and in today's episode we head off to Austin, Texas for the US Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. We're looking good after winning last time out in Russia in very dramatic circumstances to close the gap to Lewis Hamilton to 47 points at the top of the Drivers' Championship. But at the moment it's looking quite unrealistic if we're going to win this championship with 3 rounds remaining, unless Hamilton has some sort of a DNF or something in the last 3 races. But let's see what happens in today's race.
Welcome! You join us here in Austin, Texas for what is sure to be an exciting day's racing. The 2 o'clock start is drawing near, so let's head down to the grid for the US Grand Prix. Here's the grid for today's race. We'll be starting shortly.
So once again we're out qualified by Kamui Kobayashi's Caterham. This is what the top 10 looks like. Sergio Perez getting a good qualifying position in 10th place. He did very well at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which has just happened as I'm recording this. And Mercedes occupying the front row with Hamilton on pole. Okay, let's have a look at the strategy for today's race. We did contemplate going on to the prime tire to start the race, but then I decided just to stick on the options because everyone else is pretty much on the options as well. And I think we've got very good pace with this car with these option tyres in the early parts of the race.
It's a steep incline into turn 1 that'll help you scrub speed off. There are multiple lines, so be sure to make use of them.
We are away in USA here. We've got a very good start off the line. We're going to go take the inside line as we go into the steep turn 1, and it's quite a tight entry point. We're having to take most of the curb there just to ensure we don't drift wide and hit any cars in front of us. We're now going to go a little bit wide going into the first part of the fast sweeping section of section 1. We're trying to go around the outside of Button actually no, that's Magnussen and Hulkenberg there. We're unable to make a move stick. We're going to try and go around the outside of both cars as we enter the second sector. We've made some contact with the Force India though, and we've just about holding on at the moment to 11th place. We did go understeer wide on the exit prior to the end of that very fast section. We've managed to maintain 11th place, or actually move up to 11th place. We've now cut to the third sector of the lap. There wasn't really that much happened on that main straight there. We just caught up to Sergio Perez, and we've now just gone down the inside of Perez up into the points positions already by the end of lap number 1. We're going to go into this 4-part right-hander. It's the opposite of what turn 8 was at the Turkish Grand Prix, if any of you guys remember the Turkish Grand Prix. We're now right with the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen. We're going to go down the inside into the final corner, and we've moved up another position as we head onto the main straight to start lap number 2. We've now cut to the start of lap number 2, just past turn number 1. We're right with Jenson Button here. You can see how much of a speed difference we have in this fast section. We were able to get past Button in the start of that section before the end of the first sector there. And as you can see, look how much we've managed to close up on Fernando Alonso, who is the next car that we have to pass if we want to move up on the field and actually try and challenge the Mercedes here. We're right with the Ferraris who come up towards the slow left-hander prior to the long straight on this circuit. We've gone down the inside of Alonso going onto the main straight there, but let's see if Alonso can come back at us as we come along this straight. He will have the slipstream of the Marussia in front of him to allow him to repass. You can see there, he's on our left-hand side. No DRS in effect as always, because it's only lap number 2. We've understeered wide out the corner, and Alonso has managed to repass us for 7th place. We were then going to hold the inside line going into the next corner, and we've managed to repass him. And this is on board with Alonso. You can see there, he goes to the left-hand side. We can't make any sudden moves there, so we've decided to let him through. We tried to outbrake him going into the corner, but then we've run wide, understeered wide, and Alonso was able to hold the position. But then we hold the inside line into the next corner, and we were able to take 7th place back. We are now on the start of lap number 3. So you see there's quite a few cars in front of us, so we could make up quite a few positions in the next few laps. So this is the first target is Sebastian Vettel, but in our attempts to try and find a way around in the sweep around him in the sweeping left and right section, we lost quite a bit of time. We then were able to make up that time straight away in the next few corners. I don't know if that's Vettel being held up by Ricciardo in front of him or us managing to carry more speed. But anyways, we've gone down the inside of Vettel at the end of that section and we're up into 6th place. We're now going to go, we've cut to the end of this current lap and we've now caught up to Daniel Ricciardo. Look how much speed we're able to carry through the 4-part right-hander as we go in for the inside line into the second last corner, and we've managed to pass the second Red Bull for 5th place. We're now on to the start of lap number 4. We've got the DRS on Valtteri Bottas. We're going to go for a late move down the inside of the Williams and we're up into 4th place. Next up is actually Nico Rosberg, who's in 3rd, who's stuck behind the Williams of Felipe Massa there. It looks like Massa must have overtaken Rosberg at the start or something, because Hamilton's just a street clear of this group. So we're going to have to make a move on Rosberg here if we're going to have any chance of challenging Hamilton for this race win. As you can see here, we're right with the Mercedes. It's probably because Rosberg is being held up by the Williams in front. We've managed to go down the inside into the end part of the sweeping left and right hand section of the circuit. We've gone down the inside there. As you can see here, this was a little bit later on in the lap. Rosberg was under pressure from the second Williams of Bottas, so he could have easily lost another position there, but he was able to fend him off. We've now cut back to Jules Bianchi's onboard camera. We've started lap number 5. As you can see, we're right with the Williams of Felipe Massa going up onto the braking zone for turn number 1. We're going to go down the inside of the Williams, and we're already up into 2nd place. And we've still got plenty of time to actually catch Hamilton and try and pass him for the race. When we actually cut to lap number 6, this is actually our pit stop lap. As you can see there, that was just the engineer just saying we need to box. Anyways, we're going to come into the pits now. We actually hit the wall there. I was very lucky not to lose my front wing, and that would have been an absolute disaster if that had actually happened. As you can see, that in front of us, that's Hamilton just leaving his pit box. So we've got a bit of work to do if we're going to catch him. We've got half the race. We've got 7 laps to be able to try and catch him. Let's see how good the pit stop is. Yep, it's good. Very well done by the mechanics once again. We've dropped down to 6th place at the moment as we exit the pits now, and we accelerate up the hill into turn number 1. It looks like we've dropped another position to Perez. We've understeered why into the first corner though, and we've lost 2 places to Perez and to Magnussen. That is going to possibly cost us some time, as Rosberg was actually closing the gap on us prior to our pit stop, so Rosberg could possibly overcut us at this rate. But anyways, we're going to try and get repass Kevin Magnussen. As you can see, we're going to go down the inside as we enter the start of the 2nd sector, and just a few corners later we're going to go down the inside of Sergio Perez as we come on to the main straight. He will have, I think we'll have DRS because we were behind him prior to the DRS detection point, but because of the Mercedes power, he may still be able to pass us. As you can see there, we have got DRS in operation, but Perez in our mirrors is going to try and go down the inside going into the next left-hander. As you can see there, that's the Force India on our left, but we're able to hold him off and fend him off around the outside there, and we were able to maintain 5th place. We're now going to cut to the end of lap number 7. This is where the rest of the cars are actually making their pit stops here. As you can see here, you'll see on the left-hand side, that is Rosberg just exiting the pits right now. So we were very lucky to hold 2nd place there, but that's going to put us in give us a very good opportunity to now try and reel in Hamilton without having to repass Rosberg. As you see, we've started lap number 9. Hamilton is just over 6.5 seconds up the road, so now we're going to try and reel that gap in using the advantage I think we have in the first sector with these sweeping fast left and right hands. As you can see there, we've already cut the gap to under 6 seconds by just the first sector alone. So anyways, we're going to cut to the main straight of lap number 9. We're actually going to go into rich fuel mix now, as I think the extra power will help us as the race carries on. We're now going to cut to lap number 10, the very same spot where we had the first sector splits from the previous lap, and now the gap is under 5 seconds. We are progressively closing this gap to Hamilton. As you can see, we're now cut to the end of the second sector of this lap. We're just over 4 seconds now behind Hamilton, and we're just going to constantly cut to different points of the lap. We're now at the end of lap number 10. As you can see, we're going to start lap number 11 with the fastest lap of the race for lap number 10. As you can see, Hamilton's gap is getting ever smaller lap by lap, sector by sector. As you can see now, it's under 3 seconds as we come through the sweeping section of the end of the start sector number 2. My apologies. And then we cut to 1 lap later. That's actually Hamilton in the distance. He's got a back marker in front of him to worry about, and the gap has now come down to under 2 seconds. So we are very close to challenging Hamilton for this race win. I think we could possibly be right on his tail by the end of the next lap, if not on the final lap. So we could have a very similar outcome to what we had in Russia last time out. As you can see, Hamilton having to go all the way around the outside of the Toro Rosso there. And the Toro Rosso being very unhelpful. I don't understand why Kvyat's so far down the field, possibly because of an incident on the very first lap. He moved out the way of us, and we are now just behind Hamilton. As you can see, this is on the next lap. We're right with Hamilton. The gap is now under 1 second. I think it's around 0.8 of a second according to the top left-hand corner of the screen there. We're now going to cut to the main straight. As you can see there, we're going to have DRS, but of course Hamilton's Mercedes powers allowed him to initially escape from us, so the DRS is not really going to help us this lap. So it looks like we're going to have to make this move on Hamilton on the final lap. Anyways, we're now going to cut to the very last lap. As you can see, we're right with Hamilton. We're in the DRS zone once again, coming up the hill towards turn number 1 for the very last time. As you can see, we're very close with Hamilton. We're probably going to try and stick with him through the sweeping fast left and right hand corners. So I think that's where we have the advantage. You can see it. We're able to get much more speed out of the corner. And look at this. We could go for Hamilton through the S section of the Maggots/Beckett section of the circuit. Well, that's what it resembles. But this is on board Hamilton. How we managed to repass the Mercedes there. That was quite a very good opportunistic move by us on the very last lap. But of course, this will leave us vulnerable to, I think, Hamilton and DRS. We're now going to cut back to our viewpoint onto into the middle part of the lap, coming onto the left-hander before the main straight. As you can see, Hamilton will have DRS because he is less than a second behind us. You can see there. So we're going to have to try and do some defensive duty if we're going to hold on to this lead for the remaining part of the lap. As you can see, we've stick to the left-hand side of the circuit just to ensure to cover the inside line, but Hamilton is coming still with the DRS and the Mercedes power. We're able to fend him off though into the corner, hitting the apex and ensuring that Hamilton has no space to get past around the outside. This is on board with Hamilton. You see, he's coming. I think he gets slightly ahead of us prior to the braking zone into the corner, but he was unable to outbrake us and be able to pass us. This is on board the TV camera. Look how close it is between us going into that corner. But anyways, we're going to come through to the last 2 corners here, and we're going to hopefully take back-to-back victories in both Russia and in USA. We're coming through the final corner now, and we have won the US Grand Prix. I was expecting a little bit of a David Croft commentary there, but looks like we're not going to get any. So, confirmation of today's race results. We managed to take the win today. Hamilton in second, Rosberg in third, Ricciardo taking fourth for Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas in fifth for Williams, with Massa in sixth, Vettel in seventh, Jenson Button eighth, Magnussen in ninth, and Nico Hülkenberg taking the final point for Force India in 10th place. We're now going to scroll down to the rest of the results. Chilton finishing in 17th in front of a Sauber, and obviously in front of Kvyat, and Kimi Räikkönen was the only retirement from today's race. Now let's have a look and see what that does to the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. And as you can see, we've now cut Hamilton's advantage to 40 points. So It's still quite unrealistic as to if we can win this Drivers' Championship. I think we are within a race wins distance if you take into account the fact that there's double points in Abu Dhabi. But I think we still need a Hamilton retirement for if we're going to have any chance of this championship. Hulkenberg, you can see there, he's actually moved up into 12th place following his 10th place finish today. Let's have a look and see what the Constructors' Championship looks like. And the race win has ensured that Marussia maintained that second place in the Constructors' Championship ahead of both Red Bull and Williams. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode today. Apologies that this episode came out quite late after the last one. I've just been busy for these past couple of weeks with work and stuff. But if you did enjoy this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And please comment if you think there's anything I can improve on this series. And I'll see you all for the penultimate race of the Jules Bianchi Tribute Career Mode. And that is taking place in Sao Paulo, Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Until then, see you later.